Scary TikToks that will make you rethink your reality with JetskiChucK.
Dang. What's good, y'all? It's your boy JetskiChucK, and we got a banger for y'all today. We're going to be diving deep. If you haven't already, hit that like and subscribe button and join me on these waters as we go into some dark waters and see what they got for us. So follow me. You guys definitely want to watch the whole thing, especially around the 40-minute mark. Things get heated up when we start talking about Nikola Tesla. Stars are not what you think they are. Today I'm going to show you how stars reflect through the firmament. Interesting. With a bucket, water, and sunlight. So is a star like some type of portal in between Earth and heaven? Also, what is a comet? Now let's look at stars and planets through a real telescope in comparison to the demonstration I just performed. Venus. Is this actually Venus? Is he actually zooming in on Venus? And is Venus doing this? It looks like water. There's no way that's Venus zoomed in. Okay, we got Venus at night. Man, that looks just like water. Wow. It looks just like water. I thought it was Orion's belt. Or is that just something off Men in Black and it's actually a star named Orion? It looks like some type of frequency. A water frequency. So if we zoomed all the way on the star, that's what it looks like? Interesting. What is that? What is that? It looks like something underwater or something. There's no way that could be a star. Zoomed in. You guys gotta let me know in the comments below if you believe that is actually a real star zoomed all the way in. Let's get back into it because it looked like it had something to do with frequencies. Alright, y'all, I got it turned down. It's getting loud, so I turned it down. I hope it's not down too much for y'all. Why do some of those look kind of familiar?
Ourselves, and that's why they cut us off at 494. Well, it goes higher, but it doesn't do anything. Bullshit.
Wow, that was interesting. Some of those shapes look familiar. Like this? I seen cathedrals that look like that. Kind of makes you think also about crop circles. Like say if a UFO came down and hit the right frequency at the right time, you know, who knows what it could do in the grass.
The 808 exists in the lowest chakra of your body. The majority of content that's related to the 808 is killer or sexual content. The original 808s was even off pitch. So that meant it's an actual sound in the track that you don't realize is there that is fucking up your entire frequency. And now, today, every time I hear a car come out, it's 808. But if you think about African music and hip-hop and what we was breakdance to, it was light.
The percussion.
It was upbeat. It was the drums. Now it's like, and all of this is a bigger, and it's like, man, you know, at this point, it's like they should have killed me when I said George Bush don't care about black people. I ain't got nothing to say. You know, they SNL making my wife say I divorced him on TV because they just wanted to get that bar off, and I ain't never even seen the papers. We not even divorced. The 808.
Basically what he's saying is that frequency is everything, and churches understood that, as long as the ancient technologies understood that frequency heals everything. So they applied that with their church designs. As you can see, that they were not just designs, they were actually designed for frequency. You can think about the organs in the classic churches, that, you know, that type of vibrations and frequency could actually heal as well.
Electricity running into the water makes it do that spiral.
It's sound, really. It's not even
Oh, it's
electricity.
sound.
Vibration.
The spout is connected to a speaker. The speaker is being controlled by an oscillation thing.
But if you do all the hertz, you can see it.
Oh my God, this is incredible.
This is just one experiment for this. There's a lot of other really, really cool ones.
So if you change the frequency, the patterns change.
This is some weird shit.
So the ultrasonic waves are causing these objects to levitate. So they're levitating in the ultrasonic waves.
Is that ice?
I don't even think it says exactly what they're floating there. It's probably just a piece of, maybe like rice or a piece of paper or something.
Holy shit.
But people speculate this is maybe how the pyramids might have been made, because of the frequencies that people think they make or could have made.
That was
Graham
something
Hancock
that
stuff, and
Eddie Griffin said outside the comedy store once, high as fuck, smoking cigarettes, going,
I don't know how.
pyramids were made with sound.
There is some very strange water pyramids.
Hey, Eddie was trying to speak to y'all. Good one, y'all.
Deliberately taken away from us. One of the most existential questions of our time. This is where the conspiracy comes from. At some point, governments around the world issued a decree ordering everyone to tune to 440 hertz. There is said to be something sinister about the frequency of 440 hertz. It is said that the Rockefeller Foundation had an interest in ensuring that the United States adopted the 440 hertz standard in 1935 as part of the war on consciousness, leading to control of the musical cult. This theory says that tuning all the music in the world to 440 hertz turns it into a weapon of war. Is this so? There are many serious studies confirming the destructive influence of the 440 hertz frequency on humanity. There are those who dispute the theory. But are they convincing enough, or just a handful of dust in the eyes? We are about to find out in this video.
Consciousness. I bet we won't be able to find this video.
The musical key that represents the starting point for tuning musical instruments. A device called a tuning fork always picks up the A tone in the same way, but it arose only in 1711. How then were musical instruments tuned before then? The answer is that the musicians used their ears. They tuned the notes to each other and the instruments to each other. They knew the pitches or the frequencies without even having that scientific knowledge, and which ones sounded good to them together. After all, many early works use a bland frequency of up to 432 hertz for the atone, tuned just by feel. Interesting, isn't it? However, how does the change from 432 hertz to 440 hertz allegedly affect people? It is said that as a result of it, people begin to think and feel in a certain way. They plunge into inner chaos. In 1953, Goebbels' decree was approved by the International Organization for Standardization, ISO. A change was made and 440 hertz was introduced as the standard, despite the protests of Professor Dussault of the Paris Conservatoire, who wrote a referendum signed by 23,000 French musicians. They have insisted that the tuning frequency of the La tone of 432 Hz not be changed in order to preserve musical harmony and the musical vibration of the universe. According to the conspiracy theory, the La tone tuned to 432 Hz was quite deliberately hidden from the world because this is the point of balance in nature. 432 Hz is a vibration represented in the principle of the golden ratio, also known as the golden ratio or divine proportion, and unites the properties of light, time, space, matter, gravity and magnetism to biology, the DNA code and consciousness. The natural tuning of 432 Hz has profound effects on consciousness at the cellular level in our body. By tuning musical instruments and using them at 432 Hz instead of 440 Hz, atoms and DNA begin to resonate in harmony with the spiral of the golden ratio in nature. Shares Brian T. Collins. The simplest explanation is found in the argument that a note has 12 harmonics because it resonates with 12 notes of the musical scale with the middle and sustained tones. These 12 harmonics are present when a note is tuned to 432 Hz. Music tuned to 440 Hz is said to be much poorer. The frequency of planet Earth is 8 Hz. Alpha waves, the frequency of the brain in a relaxed state, are also waves with a frequency of 8 Hz. But when we listen to music tuned to 440 Hz, it makes this fundamental 8 Hz change to 8.25 Hz, which means that the harmonics generated are out of harmony with the planet. Humans vibrate in the frequency range of 16 to 32 Hz, which is equivalent to the musical scale from low C to high C, or 1 octave. The setting of 440 Hz is not harmonic with the frequency of the human being, because the fundamental becomes 16.5. When we listen to music at 440 Hz, the first thing we notice is lethargy, tiredness, a desire to do nothing, and this happens because the harmonics of this music do not correspond to a person's vibrational frequency. Archaic Egyptian instruments that have been discovered so far are mostly tuned to 432 Hz. Music is vibration, energy. Each person's voice has its own sound frequency. Thoughts are also waves that are filled with either harmony or dissonance. For centuries, Indian philosophers have been treating and maintaining people's health with the help of speech. In the book, The Secret Power of Music, David Time claims that there is not a single function in the human body that is not subject to music. Research shows that music affects digestion, internal secretion, blood circulation, nutrition, breathing, etc. It affects the body in 2 ways, with a direct effect, that is, influence of sound on cells and organs, and indirectly, through the impact on emotions, which in turn influence many processes in the human body. Another theory states that our subconscious, our organism understands that the frequency of 432 Hz is an awakening, an opening of the heart center of love, harmony, and joy. It is called the frequency of the universe. And 440 Hz is a mental level, the level of the ego, of control, fear, and power. We can also hear that music with a frequency of 432 Hz soothes, sounds clear and pleasant to the ear, positively affects the chakras, expands the feelings through the heart chakra, and accelerates our spiritual growth. Archaic Egyptian instruments have been found that were tuned to a frequency of 432 Hz. In ancient Greece, musical instruments were also mostly tuned to 432 Hz, as were the instruments of Orpheus. Plato, Hippocrates, Aristotle, Pythagoras, and other great thinkers and philosophers of antiquity possessed invaluable knowledge about the healing effect of music on man and cured many diseases precisely with the power of music. Recently, the American mathematician and historian J. Kennedy, who works at the University of Manchester in Great Britain, announced that he had discovered the secret code hidden in the works of Plato. Kennedy argues that Plato shared the Pythagorean notions of the music of the spheres as the musical harmony of the universe, and built his works on the laws of musical harmony. These original sound frequencies were also used in ancient Gregorian chants, such as the Great Hymn of St. John the Baptist. According to church authorities, they were lost many centuries ago. These powerful frequencies were discovered by Dr. Joseph Puleo and described in Dr. Leonard Horowitz's book, The Healing Codes for Biological Apocalypse. Here are the healing codes of the notes in the tonal scale according to this theory. Up to 396 Hz, freedom from guilt and fear. 417 Hz, erases traumatic experiences and facilitates change. 528 Hz, can bring about beautiful transformation and miracles in life, DNA restoration, resonates with the human body and nature. 639 improves and strengthens relationships with others. 741 Hz, awakening intuition, provides the power of self-expression, cleanses toxins at the cellular level. 852 Hz, return to spiritual order. The frequency of 432 Hz is obtained in an interesting way. 24 hours times 60 minutes times 60 seconds equals 86,000. 400 divided by 2 equals 43,200. It is here, however, that the theory loses ground and is contested. From another theory that argues that arguments for numerical or mystical properties of the number 432 are untenable.
Yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think sound and vibrations actually carries healing properties, or are they just making all this up? Let's get back into these waters.
God's hand seen in a real star.
Yo, that does look like a hand. Yo, what is that? And then they pulled it back. They had their hand out there. It's like they pulled it back. They touching it. That is nuts.
With exceed now unto him that is able to keep you from falling, and to present you faultless before the presence of his glory with exceeding joy. To the only wise God our Saviour be glory and majesty, dominion and power, both now and ever. Amen.
Oh, you son of a bitch. What have you done? Now I know a lot of you already know that bells was used for healing and meditation. But did you know that between 1939 and 1945, the Nazis went through the whole of Europe and confiscated over 175,000 bells? Oh my diddy, oh yes they did. And it's estimated over 150,000 bells was destroyed from air raids and bombings alone. So the mainstream narrative says the reason why they did this is because they needed more artillery and ammunition, so they melted down the bells and used them as weapons. It's also said that they put the bells into categories A, B, C and D. A, being any bell that was made in the last 90 years, and D, any bell that was made before the year 1740. I know many of you won't agree with me, but I believe the main objective of those wars was to get rid of the old world.
Why they would take the bells, or why they want them. I wonder why they would take the bells. What was so significant about the older bells? Very interesting.
This whole video is still on YouTube. You can go check it out. It's not a conspiracy or anything, because no one's going to fund something that doesn't give them a return on their investment.
For entertainment purposes, of course.
This is why I'm saying it's very crucial that you understand how this stuff works, because you'll be paying for it one way or another if you don't. This whole video is still on YouTube. You can go check it out. It's not a conspiracy or anything, because no one's going to fund something that doesn't give them...
about sound, and knew how it could be used to produce powerful effects, possibly including levitation. In 2015, a device built by a team in Spain successfully levitated and manipulated small objects with sound. Here's an interesting old video of an acoustic levitation device by Dr. David Deek. Scientists already knew that sound waves create oscillating pockets of pressurized air, which can produce a force on an object capable of counteracting the pull of gravity. But while ultrasound levitation devices do exist, they all rely on standing waves, created when two sound waves of the same frequency are emitted from opposite directions and superimposed on one another. That means all previous devices require two sets of transducers. In 1987, Dr. David Deek designed and built an acoustic levitation and did a microgravity experiment for NASA-related subject matter. The 12-inch cubed plexiglass Helmholtz resonant cavity has 3 speakers attached to the cube by aluminum acoustic waveguides. By applying a continuous resonant 600 Hz sound wave and adjusting the amplitude and phase relationship amongst the 3 speakers, he could control levitation and movement in all 3 axes of the ambient space. The research was used to show the effects of microgravity conditions in orbit in the space shuttle environment. In addition, there is evidence for a whole new type of medicine in which DNA can be influenced and reprogrammed by words and frequencies without cutting out and replacing single genes. The Egyptians who built the pyramids on the Giza Plateau knew a lot about sound.
Interval in musicology. That when you play 7/4/1 with 5/2/8, it creates such an annoying and dissonant energy, dis-easing, stressful, that if you continue to listen to it, you could die. Is called the devil's interval in musicology. That when you play 7/4/1 with 5/2/8, it creates such an annoying and dissonant energy, dis-easing, stressful, that if you continue to listen to it, you could die. They have held the secret knowledge by which the pyramids were constructed based on the math. All of the universe is constructed according to these 9 tones. They knew about them. In fact, they instituted. In fact, it was the Rockefeller Foundation in 1939 that instituted the world's standard tuning. The Western world tunes to a 440 Hertz frequency. That when you tune your instrument to that, the F sharp note is 7/4/1. Precisely. Not 7.41.1 or 0.2, it's 7/4/1. I began to investigate 528 by a divine revelation that was given to a Dr. Joseph Paleo back in 1997, along with the original musical scale, the original solfeggio. It was 6 notes by which the hymn to St. John the Baptist was sung. That was known as the most spiritually uplifting hymn of all the ages. And the 3rd note of that scale was miracle note, 528. So it was ut, re, mi, fa, sol, la, and the third note, mi, miragistorum in Latin, means miracles in English. So from that moment on, I began to think of 528 as something very special, but I had no clue whatsoever what it really was. I had no knowledge whatsoever about it being a love frequency, nor did I have any concept that it was the prophesied key to the house of David. In the book of Isaiah in the Old Testament, 22:22, and in book of Revelation 3:6-8, it talks in the end times about an angel from Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love, coming and heralding a miraculous key that opened doors that no man can close and closed doors that no man can open. I had no knowledge whatsoever that that was 528. And now we have substantive evidence, massive amounts of evidence. It turned out that when we discovered the original musical scale, there was not just 6, but a total of 9 core creative frequencies to the universe. That is, everything in the universe is made from 9 notes, only 9. And that the first 6 are the solfeggio, and then there's 3 additional ones that form a perfect circle of sound. And that perfect circle of sound looks something like this. If you graph it. So the first 6 notes, 396, 417, 528, 639, 741, 852, was the original solfeggio scale. The 528 that you can see on my left in green is the color green. It's the heart of the rainbow. That's the miracle note from the original solfeggio note, from the original solfeggio scale. And the other note that you see, 741, which is part of nature, is called the devil's interval in musicology. That when you play 741 with 528, it creates such an annoying and dissonant energy, diseasing, stressful, that if you continue to listen to it, you could die. And so that the concept here is interesting. In the world today, we have people who are controlling virtually everything economically, geopolitically. Their agenda has been population manipulation, population control for millennia. They have held the secret knowledge, the ancient music, by which the pyramids were constructed based on the math. All of the universe is constructed according to these 9 tones. They knew about them. In fact, they instituted. In fact, it was the Rockefeller Foundation in 1939 that instituted the world's standard tuning. The Western world tunes to a 440 hertz frequency. That when you tune your instrument to that, the F sharp note is 741. Precisely. Not 7.41.1 or 0.2, it's 741, which meant that there was a clear, scientifically researched intent, and indeed that's exactly what happened. The 741 A440 link came out of military research in the 1930s, is called
Now that's pretty creepy. Do you think sound could really do that? Let's keep it rolling.
Nikola Tesla really know the secret behind the pyramids? According to Tesla, the pyramids were more than just ancient tombs or architectural marvels. He believed that they held a hidden power, a mysterious energy source waiting to be unlocked. Tesla speculated that the pyramids were designed to harness and transmit wireless energy, tapping into the Earth's natural electromagnetic field. In his view, these majestic structures acted as gigantic power plants, capable of transmitting energy across vast distances. Imagine a world where electricity flowed freely, wirelessly, without the need for cumbersome cables or grids. Tesla envisioned a future where the pyramids' technology could be harnessed, revolutionizing the way we power our world. While Tesla's theory remains speculative, it challenges us to think beyond conventional wisdom. It sparks curiosity and invites us to explore the mysteries of the past. So the next time you gaze upon the pyramids, let yourself wonder, could there be more to these ancient wonders than meets the eye? Did Nikola...
That's exactly why we're on these waters, to get down to the bottom of it. Now let's dive a little deeper and see what else we can uncover.
If you clicked on this video, you're probably looking for a quick and easy answer to the question, what is vortex mathematics? The objective of this video is to take you as far as possible, as quick as possible. So if you're a new fan of Nikola Tesla or a big fan of mathematics, get ready and buckle in. Is vortex mathematics the key to the universe, energy, vibrations, and the mathematical formula to everything? Let's start with the basics, way back at the beginning. So the first question is, what is vortex mathematics? Well, vortex mathematics is a system of numbers which explains an essence of form as a sphere with a vortex. If you take the number 2, multiply it by 2, you get 2. Multiply by 2, you get 4. Multiply by 2, you get 8. So we see that there's a relationship between the numbers 1, 2, 4, and 8. But let's take things deeper. Let's take them way deeper. If you take 8 and multiply it by 2, you get 16. 16, that's 2 digits though. For the sake of this lesson, we only want single digit numbers. So we've got 16, right? 1 plus 6, we get 7. Alright, well let's take 7. We double 7, we get 14. 1 plus 4, we get 5. So we've got 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 8, forever. The same numbers repeating over and over, but the numbers 3, 6, 9 never show. What does this mean? Are 3, 6, 9 spiritual numbers? Well, we have to go back a little bit further. Nikola Tesla said 3, 6, and 9 are the key to the universe. Are these the magic numbers? Well, what exactly would that mean? Well, if math and numbers define our reality, then maybe these numbers are the key to everything. Math was discovered long time ago. Emphasis on discovered. Math was not created or ever invented. In a way, everything is math. And if everything is math, the way everything moves and acts is based on a divine mathematical formula. So what does vortex mathematics mean? These laws define the rules and actions of all 9 physical dimensions. But what does that mean? Well, there's a 5th dimension, but beyond that, well, if mathematics, okay, let's imagine. Let's imagine for a secon. If everything has a specific
Talk to us, damn it.
Formula, well, everything has always acted as it should act. Wait a second here. Is it possible to see and recreate the past? With vortex math, is it possible to foresee and predict the future if we know exactly how everything is going to act according to a mathematical formula? Are numbers messages? Are angels numbers surrounding us? Are the synchronicity of numbers mean everything is time? What prevents everything from happening once, or is time just an illusion? Is vortex mathematics the cosmic key? Are you looking for more answers? Keep watching our videos. We'll be back with more soon.
This is the reason why the genius scientist Nikola Tesla was so obsessed with the number 369. He once said, "If you understand the wonder of the number 369, you will decipher the universe." To comprehend this, we need to acknowledge that humans did not invent mathematics. Rather, we discovered it as the governing law of the cosmos. It is the language of the universe. Below are the discoveries Tesla made. If you take 1 and double it, it becomes 2. 2 doubled is 4. 4 doubled is 8. 8 doubled is 16. The sum of 16 is 7. Double 7 is 14. The sum of 14 is 5. Double 5 is 10, and the sum of 10 is 1. And this pattern repeats infinitely without the occurrence of the number 369. Interestingly, when you double 3, it becomes 6, and when you double 6, it becomes 12. The sum of 12 is 3. These two numbers complement each other, with the number 9 being the highest independent entity. If 3 and 6 are considered negative and positive, then 9 is the superior entity governing the entire universe. Tesla stated that these three numbers exist in a higher dimensional space, dominating the three-dimensional world we inhabit. This is the reason why the genius scientist Nikola Tesla was so obsessed with the number 300.
Tesla's greatest discovery was the counter-rotating fields of magnetism. He understood that the magnetic field doesn't just come out of the North Pole and into the South Pole in straight lines. He knew that the magnetic field swirls out of the North Pole and into the South Pole and swirls out of the South Pole into the North Pole. The atom is a whirlpool of energy, and the human energy field works exactly the same way. That's why the first man was named Adam, because every atom is polarized with a north and south pole. Therefore, collectively, we have one north and one south pole as a giant atom. When you break a magnet into a million pieces, each atom is a miniature magnet with a north and south pole. The inner volume of every atom is magnetodielectricity or diamagnetism. Nikola Tesla's greatest discovery was the counter-rotating fields of magnetism. He understood that the magnetic field doesn't just come out of the North Pole and into the South Pole in straight lines. He knew that the magnetic field swirls out of the North Pole and into the South Pole and swirls out of the South Pole into the North Pole. The atom is a whirlpool of energy, and the human energy field works exactly the same way. That's why the first man was named Adam, because every atom is polarized with a north and south pole. Therefore, collectively, we have one north and one south pole as a giant atom. When you break a magnet into a million pieces, each atom is a miniature magnet with a north and south pole. The inner volume of every atom is magnetodielectricity or diamagnetism, which is magnetism and dielectricity collectively, which is the repelling and attracting forces of a magnet. That is the yin and yang, compressions and rarefactions of the medium. And that is what we call the ether working in dynamic polarization against itself. The current model and concept of an atom is incorrect. The true model is that atoms are not particles. They are torus fields of pure energy. It's called dielectricity and magnetism, the conjugate binaries of the universe. Atoms are torus fields of pure energy. The dielectric field is information. It's also called counter space. It's the non-Cartesian nexus of life where everything springs from and returns to. It's also called the ether, and Nikola Tesla said that all things come from the luminiferous ether. The ether is the dielectric field. The ether in motion is the magnetic field. It's the loss of energy or inertia. Pure potential is what the ether is. It's the non-Cartesian nexus from which all life springs from and returns to. It's the non-physical source point of all creation. It's everywhere but yet nowhere. 0-point energy. The main point I'm trying to make is that Nikola Tesla understood. He understood that which is invisible is the cause, and everything visible is the effect or attribute of source. He knew that the inner volume of every atom was magnetodielectricity, or diamagnetism, and the outer volume of the atom was electricity or electromagnetism. Therefore, his tower, called Wardenclyffe Tower in Long Island, New York, it was a magnetic field amplifier, and it produced free energy for the world. It was not electricity, it was diamagnetism. He called a day at work churning the ether. When you block off any external fields, what's left in the middle is 0-point energy. The human body works the same. Works just like Tesla's tower, and it works just like the pyramids. The government in modern science wants you to think that the universe started from an explosion called the Big Bang, but the truth is there's constant imploding and exploding phenomena happening at the core of everything. It is a fractal and reflection of the infinite potential that is pure conscious, loving energy. Some call it God, some people call it life itself, others call it the ether. Nikola Tesla's greatest discovery was the counter-rotating field.
I've had so many questions about ether, and it was just so much in that video. This is for entertainment purposes, of course, but you might want to replay that one. I'm not going to keep replaying it and going back, but man, I'm personally going to go back to that video. Make sure you got your sword and shield on when you in these waters. But that is known as the forbidden knowledge. Especially for this next one. Up against in these forbidden waters. The depth level is darkness 9. We're in darkness 9 waters now. Make sure you have that sword and shield. A lot of gems in that video, I'm not gonna lie. I'm probably gonna go back to this video after I upload it just so I can see if I missed something, but yeah, that was a good one. Let's get back into it, y'all.
Giant squid, monster, octopus, dragon, whatever you want to call it. Now, as it's asleep and it's dreaming, it's able to create in its mind. You cannot dream unless you close your eyes, right? This is God, the God mind, this is everything, and this is the dream world. Now, whatever is thought about, it comes to fruition. Look, it's an apple, it's a fruit. We call it fruition, actualization. Why do we say fruition? Remember I said vibration is vibora, snake? Look, these are stars, these little dots right here. So if you're on Earth looking up, you see these stars, you're like, what are these stars? Not knowing that there's an energy behind those stars. And you think, oh, Saturn is far away from Mars and far away from Venus and Sirius. They're all connected, we're all connected. This is the unconditioned consciousness. On Earth is the conditioned consciousness. So man is God asleep. You're on here because God is this. You're God. And when you're asleep, when you close your eyes, you dream of yourself on this earth. Now when you wake up, this eye opens and God is man awake. Okay? So check this out. When a new baby is born, a new star is born. A star is made. We as people, these tentacles, are just the opposite end of these tentacles. See, this is the collective consciousness. We're all connected by the source. Look at this big jellyfish.
We are going in darkness 9 waters. These are darkness 9 waters, so make sure you have your sword and shield on. But you need to see what you're up against. You need to understand it from all angles, what they're trying to do. So let me show you. Darkness 9 waters. Make sure you got your sword and shield on. And you need that breastplate. You definitely need that breastplate.
A guy in Iowa got curious, why do the birds start chirping an hour before sunrise? He found out the chirping of the birds is a frequency that helps open up the plant cell stomata on the bottom of the leaf, and it lets the plant start breathing in the morning. It helps sets the alarm clock or wakes the plant up. He found out that frequency is found in classical music quite a bit. So he started playing classical music to his cornfields. His neighbors thought he's a couple fries short of a Happy Meal, but until his corn grew 15 feet tall. And they said, what channel was that you're playing? When he played the music to his squash plants, they produced 5 squash per leaf instead of 1. He played it to his black walnut tree and it grew twice as fast as normal. Called Sonic Bloom. It's a combination of vitamins for the plant and special frequencies to open up the stomata. There's a guy in Iowa got curious, why do the...
This is the work of Nikola Tesla. His work was suppressed. A lot of his patents were taken, sealed up by the U.S. government. This is some of the stuff that's now being developed using his ideas. This is the work of Nikola Tesla. His work was suppressed. A lot of his patents were taken, sealed up by the U.S. government. This is some of the stuff that's now being developed using his ideas. This is the man I've been talking to for the last 7 years.
Malcolm Bendall?
Yes. Like, here's an example of what they're doing. This is a generator that has no moving parts. It's all based on pure geometry. And here's the basic idea. Resonance frequencies. Everything vibrates. Have you ever, if we had an electric razor, we plugged it in, turned it on, set it on this table, it's going to move around, isn't it? You ever seen that?
Yeah.
That's the beginning of the concept because it's vibrating. Everything vibrates at a frequency, and if you know that frequency, you can control things. That's the basic idea of what we're looking at here. And it's all based upon the ancient numbers. And they're developing technologies right now. And I was recently contacted and given the go-ahead. I've been sitting on this for 7 years without talking about it because they asked me not to until they had their patents in place. This is the work of Nikola Tesla. His work was suppressed. A lot of his patents were
Have you heard of the World's Fairs? The World's Fairs might be some of the most mysterious events in the entire history of man. These were gigantic, grand-scale events with grand-sized buildings. In the case of the St. Louis Fair, you had over 1,200 buildings. In fact, some of these were the largest recorded buildings in history at the time, which begs the question, how did they create such an event in record times, in 1 to 2 years? How did they build the buildings, the canals, the roadways, the walkways, the columns, the arches, the pillars, everything? How did they build everything in a year or two and make it look absolutely spectacular? And history will tell us that this is all made of plaster and hemp. In the modern day, these events will cost several $100 million based on their original expenses. But for temporary buildings, why do they have lightning rods? Why are they so big? Many believe these were cities that were found and destroyed by the new population. Have you heard of the World's Fairs?
Today's episode, man. If you guys enjoyed this one, be sure to drop a like and subscribe. And if you made it this far, drop that 100 in a comment, man, so I know you real. You made it through the whole video. That's what's up, man. I appreciate you guys as always, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.